Thank you so much, Ms. Becky.
Good evening. We are reconvening for the Planning Commission regular meeting. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to the chairman to call the meeting to order.
Thank you, ma'am. We've already determined the quorum, so I will call the meeting to order. We have completed the Pledge of Allegiance already this evening, so we are on action on a proposed agenda. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, a second? And we have a second. I'm sorry, who seconded that?
I think Joe Williams. Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams got that for us. Thank you, sir.
That brings us to item 4, action on the proposed summary of actions. Item A, April 16th, 2025, regular meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have a motion on the summary of actions?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Williams again?
That works.
Sorry, I know more in case the seconds came up. Therefore, recognition.
Okay, recognition of persons attending the meeting tonight. From Planning and Zoning, we have Jason Brinkley, Director. We have Tay Harris, Long Range Planner. We have online with us tonight Rachel O'Shea, which is our Deputy Director of Zoning. We have Jay Cousineau, Planner 3. Amaya Pleek-Tam, Planner 3. Kat Lockwood, Planner 2. And new to the Development Review group is Charlene Johnson, Planner 1. And we also have from Inspections and Permits, Katie Strauss, Permit Tech 1 with us tonight. We have from Parks and Rec, Bob Brannon, Director. Lydia Wells, Deputy Director. We have Amanda Stillwagon, Park and Rec Safety Division Chief. And from Emergency Management tonight, we have Kara Buckmaster. And serving as our clerk tonight is Becky Parkinson, and John Mattingly is our legal counsel. That brings us on to item number 6, major subdivisions for final review and action. Tonight we have item A, SDFP 143163, Armory Towns, lots 1 through 9. So tonight, Planning Commission members, I have before you this plan that you all have reviewed prior. This is the certification tonight. So I, Tamara Blake Wallace, Secretary to the Planning Commission, certify that all conditions of the preliminary approval granted by the Planning Commission on August 30th, 2023 for SDFP-143163 have been met. Our next steps or recommendations for the Planning Commission course of action would be to approve as certified, recommend changes and approve accordingly, or request additional information from staff and defer to a future Planning Commission meeting or disapprove.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Gentlemen, does anyone have any comments or?
Yes. Ms. Wallace, is this property still grandfathered in without APFOs?
Yes, it is exempt.
Any other questions?
Other than schools and roads, of course.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
having granted preliminary approval on August 30th, 2023, and after considering the certification of the Secretary to the Planning Commission, I move the Planning Commission approves the final subdivision plat in the case of SDFP 143163, Armory Towns, lots 1 through 9.
Second.
We have we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, or is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Nay.
We have one nay. Mr. Gadway. Thank you, folks.
Okay, that brings us to item 7, applications for site plan review and action. We do not have any on the agenda tonight. Item number 8, major subdivision applications for preliminary review and action. There are not any on the agenda tonight. And then that brings us to item 9, long range planning. We have the Dunkirk Town Center Master Plan update.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Kat Lockwood, Long Range Planner 2 with the Department of Planning and Zoning. I'm here tonight to give you the preview of the 2025 May Draft Chapter 3 Dunkirk Town Center Master Plan. Background. On February 19, 2025, the Planning Commission endorsed the format for the Master Plan of Town Centers to streamline the update process and prioritize revising the oldest Town Center Master Plans first. Updates to Draft Chapter 1, which is Town Centers, and Draft Chapter 2, which is Prince Frederick Town Center Master Plan, are currently underway. The next plan update is Draft Chapter 3, which is Dunkirk Town Center Master Plan. Chapter 1 provides background information applicable to all town centers, while Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 include updates specific to the Prince Frederick and Dunkirk Town Centers, respectively. Discussion. The Department of Planning and Zoning presents Draft Chapter 3, Dunkirk Town Center Master Plan update to the Planning Commission for review. There are no recommendations. The next steps. At the June Planning Commission meeting, staff will seek comments on the draft chapter and seek guidance from the Planning Commission on whether to initiate the 60-day comment period. You all should already have the Attachment A, which is May 2025 Draft Chapter 3 Master Plan of Town Centers with Dunkirk Town Center without track changes. And then Attachment B, which is the May 2025 Draft Chapter 3 Dunkirk Town Center with track changes. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Thank you, ma'am. Questions, gentlemen?
I do.
Please.
When we were talking about the Prince Frederick Town Center plan, I believe that it talked about the populations of the town center. In this one on page 2, which would, page 2, it talks about a population of roughly 2,000 people. It's my understanding that there's only one residence in Dunkirk Town Center, and that is at the church.
That is correct.
So where do the 2,000 people live in Dunkirk? Or did that just expand out
I
to other
believe
areas?
it's the whole Dunkirk.
What's that?
I believe it's the whole Dunkirk area.
So it's the same thing that goes back to what Mr. McQueen was saying. This is it's from the U.S. Census data, and it's what it's called as a census designated place. So it doesn't 100% match the town center boundary, but it's close. It's close, and we actually work with the census data so that or the Census Bureau, so that we can update these boundaries, but there's lag times. So the numbers will, for Dunkirk, include outside of the town center. So if you clicked on those links, it would take you to a map and you could see the difference.
And I asked that question a year plus ago, and I got the exact same answer, and I forgot it, so thank you for reminding me. I
Okay.
forgot about that, the census designated place.
Right, and so it's like an it's like
Right.
municipalities.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
That was good, Chris.
Yeah.
I like that.
I forgot.
That's okay.
And then the other question I had on the following page, Dunkirk's a pretty nice area, and I looked at the bottom left of the page, and it says the unemployment rate is 32.7%.
Yeah.
Census data point.
So I thought that was a little odd as well. I can address that in different ways, but again, it's the American Community Survey 5-year estimate. So the census data is the most reliable, but then if you use that, that's 2020, and with all due respect, I've been told that's too old by planning commissioners to use that data. So you go to the next best source, and that is the most recent data per the planning commission's request, and you use the 2023 5-year estimate. I can look into it. and see if I can, if it's different and looking from 2020 to 23 and maybe do a caveat. But again, I understand your concerns. I thought that was a bit high as well.
Yeah, I just hate to have something go down in print that says 1/3 of Dunkirk is unemployed.
Right, and then unfortunately, we rely on census data. That's the tool we use.
Right,
So,
understood, appreciate it.
I think there could be a determination as to who is called unemployed. I know in the official unemployment statistics, I'm not considered unemployed. But
Well,
there
you
might be
don't work.
another way, that I would be, because I don't go to work, I might be considered unemployed. That's how you're counting,
Understood, thank you.
yeah.
Does state of Maryland have an independent source of unemployment data?
I didn't announce myself earlier again as Tay Harris, Long Range Planner, Department of Planning and Zoning. The Department of Labor and Statistics might have something that we can use. So I can add that in, but I also need to keep consistency because again, now this is one document, so it's the master plan of town centers, and you have to, for apples to apples, use a consistent data source. But we can discuss, just like the Solomons, the median housing value and all that. We can bring in different data to just discuss that it may be skewed.
It will be
Yeah.
skewed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any more questions concerning Dunkirk?
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your help.
All right, that brings us to item 10, items for discussion and/or action. Tonight, we have item 10A, Program Open Space Annual Program for FY 2026 from the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Bob Branham, Director of Parks and Recreation. I have a memo, but if you desire, I can forego reading the memo because all of the content is also in the presentation.
Presentation, please.
Presentation would be great.
Understood. Okay, so we are here for our Program Open Space Annual Program that's due to the state to be eligible for Program Open Space funding. How the fund generates revenue is through 0.5% property tax transfer, so all real estate transactions to the state, 0.5% goes into program open space. So it ties development to conservation, and the way we use it here in the county in Parks and Recreation specifically, there are two pots or pools of money. One is for acquisition, so to purchase land, and the other is for development, so to add an amenity or repair something within a park or a community center, something to that effect. So, wrong direction. So we are required to submit to Department of Natural Resources and the Department of Planning each year an annual plan. It ensures that we remain eligible for those program open space funds that we just discussed. It covers, again, proposed acquisition, purchase of property, or development projects. And the county is also responsible to represent the needs and desires of the two municipalities, both Chesapeake Beach and North Beach, of which we have done in this plan. So why we're here, part of what we're going to ask for is that you determine that we do align with not only the county's Land Preservation Parks and Recreation Plan, LPPRP, but also to that it aligns with the comprehensive plan as well. So we review it, or it is reviewed once submitted by an open space committee, and then we will submit the plan to DNR for approval, and it is amendable. So for those of you that have been here for a few years, we used to have quite an ambitious list. We listed anything and everything that we potentially would be interested in for years to come. The state asked us to pare that down for what's likely to happen or could happen in the next year. But that being said, if something presents itself within that year, we would come back before you and we can amend that plan before moving forward with the next item of interest. So the projects must be listed to be eligible for the program open space funding. It does not guarantee neither the Board of County Commissioners nor the town's commitment to pursue that. So again, we list anything that we think could be something that we would pursue in the next fiscal year, but we're not required to do so. And again, as stated, it's amendable at any time. So we, in order to make sure it aligns with the comprehensive plan, we presented this slide. So increase land dedicated to recreation, natural resources, enhance park networks and trails, improve public access to Chesapeake Bay and Patuxent River, provide safe, multimodal access to parks, and diversify community facility use and increase engagement. So the LPPRP is due every 5 years. We also must do that to remain eligible for program open space funding. In the LPPRP, we have improved existing facilities and amenities, enhance programming and natural resource use, develop new facilities and amenities, and strategize for organizational efficiency. So we have here listed the slides with not the description so much as just what they are and the intent of the money, the funding that we would have. So I will go through those, and I think you'll get more detail from the descriptions. So it would be redundant to do both. So again, in the interest of your time, I'll go here. So as mentioned, Land Preservation Parks and Recreation Plan, LPPRP, every 5 years. So we can use program open space money to pay the consultants that we must hire in order to help the county create this plan. So the way it currently works is we basically use it like a savings account. We apply for $25,000 each year over 5 years. That gives us the necessary $125,000. There is a legislation now stating that it can be a one-time application for the entire fee, but that just happened, so we have applied for $25,000 each year. So it's listed again this year. So the Calvert Marine Museum, there's an acquisition interest that would add 1.1 acres of waterfront property. It would enhance public access, storage, and historical vessel maintenance. And that is a potential acquisition for the county. The next few slides are from Chesapeake Beach. North Beach did not respond with any interest by the deadline. So Chesapeake Beach is interested in the new canoe and kayak launch along Fishing Creek, and they want to increase parking as well as access points to launch those vessels. And it would support the increased waterway access per our LPPRP. So any and all surveys that we do, one of the great interest in this community is access to water and launches. So another acquisition would be 201.86 acres of preservation for wildlife habitat. So you can see it allows low impact recreation, and there's a potential future for a conservation transfer. Again, this is from the town of Chesapeake Beach. And then they want, they're requesting open space preservation near Randall Cliff. Again, preserves biodiversity and natural habitat. It supports trails and environmental education, and there's it's part of a long-term conservation strategy. So next we're moving into development. That was all acquisition. Again, 2 pools of money. This is development. So the first would be at Halloween Point District Park improvements, pathway replacement. So not only would it address the ADA transition plan that the county is currently going through, it promotes active recreation by way of trails through the park and connectivity to all of our fields. Currently, you cannot walk on a paved trail to every field within Halloween Point Park. So, and it would also address bleacher pads, and again, this was addressed in the master plan that we've also discussed, but obviously we're taking steps to be proactive to meet some of the goals that we need to achieve prior to implementing the entire master plan. This is a great need in that park. Next up would be the playground at Cove Point Park. The large playground in the front of the park is past its lifespan. We are at the point where we can no longer get replacement equipment or do repairs. So as things break, we have to remove it and close off that portion of the playground. So it is in dire need of replacement, and it is in the current yet to be adopted FY26 CIP plan for the county commissioners, and we plan to apply for program open space monies to supplement the build of that playground. This would be back to Chesapeake Beach. So they are interested in trail and connectivity projects, and they want to enhance walkability and biking through the beach area. It also promotes tourism, recreation, and safe travel. And then they are addressing the kayak launch, which is, if you see the picture on the right, is right behind Northeast Community Center. The county only owns what's under the roof line. The rest of that is owned by the town, so the kayak launch is a part of Chesapeake Beach, as well as the Kellums Field Park expansion. So the strategic value of these projects, it supports public health, environmental preservation, and community access. It encourages low-impact recreation and non-motorized transportation, and it reflects countywide priorities for connectivity, inclusivity, and sustainability. Again, one of the larger things we hear on a lot of our surveys to our citizenry, our residents, is they want natural and paved trails. They want to be able to walk and participate in recreation in that manner without having to drive somewhere or not have a dedicated space for those activities. So it is a great need for the community, and it is one of the ones we hear about quite a bit. So our conclusion and recommendation is to approve the FY26 Program Open Space Annual Program Projects, confirm the alignment with the comprehensive plan, and then recommend the Board of County Commissioners approval for submission to the state. So if approved here, we will be before the board on June 10th, and then our deadline to submit the plan to DNR would be July 1. Questions or concerns?
Gentlemen, any questions?
Thank you, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
I got one question. The little park at Solomon's, that little tiny thing, is that gonna be repaired?
The
Or taken
playground
out?
or Solomon's Town Center Park?
It's on the water, and it's right by the ice cream shop?
So the playground area?
Yeah. that
We
little-
do maintain that through our Parks and Safety Division. So,
You've taken parts of it out and replaced it with wood.
yes, sir, so as a playground becomes dated, and I know Amanda Stillwagon, our Parks and Safety Division Chief, is behind me as well, and she could speak to this, but as certain pieces become dated, we can no longer replace them or repair them. So we run into the issue where we then have to close off. Like Cove Point, we cannot repair any more of it, and we can't replace it. We just can't get the pieces any longer.
Good evening, Commissioners. Amanda Stillwagon. We don't actually own that playground. That belongs to Buildings and Grounds. But because we in Parks and Safety carry the CPSI, which is Certified Parks and Safety Inspector license, we help them out. So it is not in my purview to replace that playground.
So we do inspect it.
Yeah, we inspect it, but I would not enter in for replacement of that playground. That is a Buildings and Grounds question.
Next group.
But we will be happy to share the concern.
Yes.
Please do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Little kids,
Understood, yes, sir.
and there's ice cream shop right there,
Right.
and it is packed. So,
Sounds like the responsibility should be transferred to Parks and Recreation
Sounds like
since
that
it's a
too.
playground.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I, again, can make that recommendation as well. And we do go down, and we do have a great collaboration with Buildings and Grounds as well. So not only do we help them by inspecting and repairing when we can, they do the same for us in many other areas as well. So I don't want to walk out of here with them taking a black eye for this, but we will certainly discuss with Deputy Director Jones and make a path forward.
But they're not here,
Well,
so it's easy.
understood. I will let them know your recommendation. But yeah, we will definitely look to address that,
Bob,
absolutely. Yes,
was
sir.
there any loss in program open space funding due to the state budget cuts?
Yes, sir, to some degree. So we had concerns that our current pot of money for acquisition and development, now development, we can use it every year. There's enough to be done each and every year. Acquisition is about it's a 7-year scale, sliding scale. So what you earn in 7 years ago, more money in 6, 5, 4, and it collects. But if you don't use it, that 7th year is gone when the next year comes up. So it's a sliding scale. So acquisition is more difficult. So we really thought, and we were told, that there was a potential that they could actually look at our balances and remove those that weren't used. They didn't. But I actually have a gubernatorial appointment. I sit on the Green Space Equity Advisory Board for the governor. And there is something called Green Space Equity Advisory. And what it does, it creates a fund out of POS money to look at acquisition and development in overburdened or underserved communities. So last year's cycle, we awarded all of that money. This year, it's off the books. The governor awarded basically $7 million in three projects. None of the three applied for this program. None of them meet the criteria, as far as I know, as overburdened or underserved, but we were told to stand down. It's a 4-year commitment for us, and we were told to stand down in the next year because those funds are gone. It was a development in Hyattsville, but not in an area that meets the criteria, and 2 things through Prince George's County, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. So not for our development and acquisition, but yes, from Program Open Space for the green space equity.
Glad you're there, Bob. Really.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I would.
Sir?
I move that we find that FY 2026 program open space and annual program is consistent with the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan and recommend adoption by the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 7. There were none against? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bob.
Yes, sir.
All right, that brings us to item 11, items of interest. Before you, you have the site plan and subdivision lists for informational purposes only. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, that brings us to item 12, public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak tonight? Okay. All right, and we do not have anyone online. So that takes us to item 13, the 2025 Planning Commission Annual Meeting. So before you tonight, you have the 2024 Planning Commission Annual Report. And I'll just go over some of the highlights of the plan as we go along. So the Planning Commission's current bylaws, Article 4D, adopted April 9th, 2024, require the Planning Commission to meet annually in May at either a regular or special meeting to review the prior year's work and progress made on the implementation of the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan. Next slide. The responsibilities of the Planning Commission and/or the staff can be divided into 4 basic categories, which are planning, zoning, development review, or administrative. Next slide. Under planning, the Planning Commission reviewed, discussed, and/or acted on 5 projects for the capital improvement plan for consistency with the comprehensive plan, received an overview of adequate public facilities for schools, 2 adequate public facilities for school reports were reviewed for spring and fall, and then 4 town center master plan updates for Prince Frederick, Dunkirk, and St. Leonard. Under zoning, you reviewed 6 text and/or map amendment cases. You had 6 work sessions and 1 public hearing, and most of those centered around the zoning ordinance update. That brings us to development review for subdivisions. Under this category, there were 10 concepts that were reviewed, 11 minor preliminary plans, that's with 7 lots or fewer, 7 minor subdivision final plats, 56 replats, which 40 of those were recorded, and 55 recording packages, which 39 of those were recorded. And throughout 2024, we did not have any major subdivisions for review or growth tier projects. Next slide. That brings us to site plans. In 2024, the Planning Commission reviewed 6 pre-concepts, 15 concepts, which 5 were Category 1s and 10 were Category 2. We had 15 detailed site development plans, which 10 were Category 1s and 5 were Category 2s. Staff reviewed 8 red lines, and 3 administrative variances and 1 address appeal were heard by the Planning Commission in 2024. The administrative duties of the Planning Commission are preparing an annual meeting schedule, conducting regular and special meetings, holding public hearings, joint public hearings with the BOCC, reviewing and adopting meeting minutes, reviewing and updating operating documents, electing officers, preparing an annual report to the Maryland Department of Planning, and attending training and conferences. So some of those administrative duties performed by the Planning Commission this year, you held the 2024 annual meeting. You reviewed the 2023 annual report at that meeting. You reviewed rules and procedures. You reviewed and recommended changes to the bylaws. You formed a committee to review the recommended changes to those bylaws and voted to approve those changes and elected new officers. Also under administrative, the PCA attended the Summer and Winter Maryland Association of Counties conferences. One PC member and one planning staff attended the Maryland Planning Commissioners Association conference. And to conclude the overview, if acceptable, the Planning Commission may direct staff to send the 2024 Planning Commission annual report to the Board of County Commissioners for review.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Does anyone have questions or comments? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we direct the PCA to send the 2024 Planning Commission annual report to the Board of County Commissioners
Thank you,
for their
sir.
review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any against? 7. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item B of the annual meeting, review of operating documents. You have the Planning Commission bylaws and then the draft PC rules of procedure with track changes.
Mr. Chair, may I be recognized briefly before we get started on the...
Certainly, sir.
I'm aware that this board only told me to draft certain specific language, but once I started it, I realized that there were a lot of typos and formatting changes that need to be made. I changed absolutely nothing that was substantive, and there is still some formatting that needs to be done, but I would, if I could get your approval to finish the formatting and proofreading, there are a few grammar errors in here as well. So I would just like you to keep that in mind, as well as the proposed language that you asked me to draft.
Would that require us to delay action until a future meeting?
No, sir, because anything that I'm going to do would be non-substantive. I'm changing numbering format because it's inconsistent. There's obvious grammar errors, capitalization errors, et cetera. Absolutely nothing substantive.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, therefore, with the operating documents, do we have comments on such or questions?
We're discussing the rules of procedure, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's for the operating document. I want to make sure I was looking at the right thing.
If you want to start with the rules and procedures, we can start with rules and procedures and then go to bylaws.
It's my understanding that the only substantive change is 5201, paragraph 5, the announcement of county directors in attendance versus a person's attendance. That's pretty much the only substantive change in this.
That is correct. That is the language that this commission asked me to change.
And are we doing this one at a time? I mean, we just need to approve this one and or move to bylaws, because I didn't see any changes in the bylaws.
There were none. We were waiting for your discussion on that before we...
Okay.
Are there any changes in the bylaws that the board would like to see? In that case, could we have a motion to
Motion to approve the bylaws.
Thank you so much, sir.
Second.
And the operating all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we have 7-0. And then that's the bylaws, the operating
Rules
documents.
and procedures now.
Rules and procedures.
Make a motion that we accept the rules and procedures as amended.
I would just also point out that if you accept my proposed language, that then starts the 30-day public notice period. We have to publish that for 30 days pursuant to our rules, our own rule, internal rules of procedure. It's our own rule that requires any changes then be given 30 days public notice. So what I would do is we would post these proposed changes. After the 30-day period, it would come back before this board for final approval.
I remove my motion.
Okay.
What we would need is either a motion to propose the amendment as presented by staff, and then
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'm still struggling with number 5, announcement of county departments in attendance and striking recognition of staff persons attending the meeting. I'm struggling with that, and still would like to see that included. Still would like to see that the public know who's at the meetings, that therefore when they have questions, the staff's right there, they can go right to them after the meeting or during a break during the meeting. So that's just my point of view.
Your point of view could be put in motion, I believe, couldn't it?
I think it could. Okay, do we have this, I have to vote on this first?
actually, you don't have to, if you want the rules of procedure to say exactly as they are,
That would
you
be-
don't need any motion.
Okay, that would be my recommendation to the commissioners.
Okay, so currently we have no motion, which would send us forward with the previous rules and procedures, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So would anyone like to make a motion of any type now?
No, thank you.
No? Thank you, sir. Okay.
And that would move us on to election of officers.
So moves us on to the election of officers. We call the election of chairperson. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate John Tui
Do I have a second?
for president. For chair.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. We have the office of vice chair. Do I have a nomination for vice chair?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Did you call for any other nominations for chair?
Why would I do that?
I'd be more than, it's perfectly acceptable to ask the Sergeant of Arms, which we don't have, which I'll step in if you want.
Do we have any other nominations for chair?
All right.
Okay, we'll move forward to
Move
vice chair
forward
then.
to vice
Thank
chair.
you, you were correct, of course. And I was facetious. Vice chair, do I have any nominations for vice chair?
I would like to nominate Wilson Freeland.
Second.
Commissioner Freeland, is that acceptable to you?
That's acceptable.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your willingness. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ooh. You made the motion?
No, second
And the
was-
second was Mr. Byrd.
Yeah.
Dave?
Dave.
Did we have a vote on the chair?
Yes, we
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did.
That one was 6-0, and the next was
Okay,
7-0, I believe.
Okay.
All righty then.
That concludes our annual meeting for tonight. That brings us to item 14, adjournment.
Someone like to make a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion from
Second.
Commissioner McQueen and a second from, I'm sorry, I had my back turned, okay. Commissioner Weems. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? We stand adjourned. Thank you so much.